You may have wished for years for something or somebody to change or grow in some way. And the energy that I'm picking up right now is that, like, whatever this thing is, like, now that you've actually given up on it and are moving on, you may notice whoever or whatever this is starting to change in the ways that you had wanted it to the whole time. And this isn't a sign that you're supposed to, like, go back to it if it's a person, right? Okay, I just like use it as a person just for the sake of like convenience or whatever. But like, so if it's a person, this doesn't mean you're supposed to go back to them, because like you pulling away your energy from them is what gave them the space, I guess, to, I guess, level up. Because while you were in their life and while you were in their, like, I guess, surroundings or atmosphere or whatever, even if you weren't doing this intentionally, it's like you were energetically enabling this person's behavior. So for as long as you, I guess, like, whatever recent boundaries you set with this person and like you've stuck with, so whether that's like full no contact, I don't know, taking like, or just like, I don't know, for some of you, if it was like a romantic situation, you like cut off the like, intimacy aspect of it, and you're sort of like phasing out of that relationship. Or if you just like broke up completely, or if it's like a friendship and you are pulling away, like not going to hang out with them as much or whatever, not allowing someone to use you as like their therapist or whatever. So yeah, it's like even something about like you were energetically enabling them and it was stunting their growth. Not that you were doing it maliciously, because I used to watch Intervention when I was a kid, like a lot. So they like a lot of the times they would show how like the addicts or whatever would have an enabler in the family sometimes. For it depends on like their motives or whatever, but like say somebody is like uh passed out like trash or whatever, and they get like that every day to the point where they can't even like get up and go to the store themselves. Then the enabler, like, in order to keep that person like calm, sedated or whatever, they go and get whatever their fix is for them, even though they don't like participate in themselves or whatever. So like there's something about just you being in that person's life or giving them anything more than you are providing to them currently. And I'm getting that you have like cut them off and like you're not giving them anything. um they were just going to perpetually feed off of the energy that you gave them, almost like as like a dopamine rush or like a source of fuel in some way. Like it was feeding them to where they didn't need to change. Like there was no incentive for them to change because they were just like always getting the energy from you. And so it's like by you cutting them off, even if that means you just like can't be in their life anymore, because they're never going to get that same energy from anybody else. You have to understand that. So like for as long as you are in their life, they were unable to grow and heal because you just like smoothed over the need for them to even improve, if that makes sense, because you were already like the gem in their life. They had already achieved this ultimate goal, so why need to change, right? And so like if you double back now that, like, so say it's an ex and they were like always very immature or like always like in a very like surface level frivolous mindset, and now you're like, maybe you encountered them in passing or something or whatever, or you heard through the grapevine or whatever that they're like, I don't know, becoming more philosophical, and like it could come across as performative, but whatever, that's not for me to say. But something about like them actually trying to do things in order to like improve themselves internally, and they're actually being consistent about it or whatever, that's happening because you cut them off. Like, so you don't go back, because then it was just going to interfere with their progress. It's, this is not a matter of like, oh, let me see if they've actually changed, maybe this is a sign. No, no, this is a sign that like you needed to cut them off so that they could grow and heal. Okay. And like as long as this is not somebody who was like abusive to you, like maliciously narcissistic and abusive to you, right? uh we're not in the timeline or whatever where people deserve to be, miserable for the rest of their lives because they cheated on you when they were like 19 years old. You know what I mean? Like, people are allowed to grow and change, okay? But that doesn't mean that, like, and they're not like, they don't deserve to have that stain on their character or whatever indefinitely, which is also another reason why you probably are getting separated. Because like even if it wasn't cheating or something. And again, if it's like a non-romantic situation, it's just like some form of like betrayal or whatever. But it's almost like the dynamic and sort of like caricature of a connection that like took shape uh between the two of you is not helpful for either of you to sort of like carry as a part of your narrative moving forward. It would just be doing you both a disservice. And like I said, this person isn't like a malicious sociopath or anything. They don't, deserve to have a miserable life just because they hurt you, and vice versa. So like, you're supposed to let this go. You're supposed to just be like, I'm glad that they're doing better. Wish them the best. I'm going to keep going in the direction that I had decided to go down in the first place. And like, say, okay, well, I'm glad that they're growing and they didn't regress or anything like that. Like, if you care too much about what somebody that you energetically let go of is doing, then you didn't let go of them well enough. Because you're meant to be doing something new. If somebody, okay, I like try to clarify this, because sometimes I make messages that are supposed to be for like divine counterparts, and I think people mistake the fact that like if there's mutual attraction and yeah, sure, like love or whatever, and like a push and pull dynamic, that and even telepathy, because people are waking up to their abilities, so you can't just take that as like a sign that someone is your person anymore. You, because if you've like had a lot of like past lives, whether you remember them or not, you haven't always had the same soulmate. So technically you've like lived your lives with multiple beings and spirits or whatever. And like, even like this is sort of like woo woo, but even on a higher level, like you can be paired up with new soulmates if you are deemed to be like compatible, and there is a means for you to like meet up and pair up in this lifetime if your guides up there are like, it's almost like a spiritual arranged marriage, but not really. So like, you can have a soulmate that is literally like part of your story in this lifetime is that they break your heart and you guys don't end up together. You have to understand that. But you have to like have enough discernment and like get to a point of understanding that if something is violating your self-respect and making you feel more depleted and drained, then you need to let it go immediately. If that person wants to like step up and chase you enough to like feed back into you, that's great. But once you start to feel like weak and drained due to your like feelings for another person, and then it's like a prolonged thing, like it shouldn't be like there's a difference between there being like, hold on, there's a difference between there being like some confusion or like a little bit of fear or hesitancy because the feelings are so strong versus somebody who is like not ready. And you're not supposed to be waiting around for anybody who's like not ready. You're just supposed to move on. And if they want to chase you and prove to you that they're ready later, that's great. But you should not be waiting like I honestly think that like if somebody's tone, like if somebody switches up on you on Monday, okay, if somebody switches up on you and leaves you in confusion on Monday, right? If they haven't cleared up some of that confusion by Thursday, you need to start moving on and go find somebody else. I don't care how long you've been longing for this person. I don't care how much you think that you're never going to meet somebody else that like is as good of a match for you. I promise you. I promise you, the way that I've seen it is that like if somebody is genuinely like your person or they have the potential to be, but they like fail the mission or whatever with you, and you did everything that you were supposed to do and they just chose not to do that, you will get like an upgrade in regard to the person. And I know that's like a very, oh, that's so superficial, whatever, but it's not even about that. It's just like an even better match, an even like higher level match, sort of like as like a consolation, because if you did everything you were supposed to do for that union and it still didn't come through, then obviously why would you just be given something comparable? They're always like, okay, here's something a little better. And this isn't BS. Like, I've witnessed this myself. It's also kind of like a reward for not grasping so hard onto something that's obviously not in alignment with you, which is fine. So with some things, it literally is a matter of like maybe next lifetime. But if somebody's like showing up for you regularly and consistently, and maybe there's like logistical obstacles to you coming together, but you guys both are having the same goal in mind and working towards that, then that's a good connection, okay?